Hello, welcome back. Hope everybody had a wonderful Thanksgiving. Hope people who didn't celebrate Thanksgiving enjoyed the 18 feet of snow that we got. So much fun. So much fun. Well, let's get into it. Session 13, proportion. But before we do, I do want to clear up. I put in little due dates here and I swapped them. Yes, I know it's very confusing. Session 11 is due before or after session 12, which is, I just wanted to keep the Tuesday, Thursday thing rolling. We meet on Tuesday. Tuesday assignments are due on Tuesday, meet on Thursday. I just wanted to keep that rolling because there's we had off on Thursday, which then offsets things, and I didn't want it to be due so far away or be due on Thanksgiving, into which you'd be like, well, why do I have homework due on a day off? So that's why. So I reversed them here and I put the due date in clearly so you understand that, like, yes, there's a little bit of monkeying around. It has to do with federal holidays, and the school is a state school, so we have to have federal holidays off, which means it kind of ruins our flow. Other colleges don't do it. I wish we didn't. I wish we just cruised right through and then just had like normal breaks where they just kind of, maybe for Thanksgiving, you just had the whole week off and then it adjusted. But you don't need to hear about that. Let's get into it. So just do that. I'll be a little bit lenient. A little bit, not days lenient, like hours lenient. All right. So it's proportion week. And we're going to start on our computer rough drafts. So with that said, it will take, I'm going to really get into the rough draft part. I don't want to leave anybody hanging. So I will spend a bit of time on this one today. And you know your research. I'll talk about proportion. It's a little bit fun and weird. But again, let's start with easy registration checklist. Go through this. If you've taken it, you mark it. If you haven't taken it, you register for spring. I hope you guys are coming back for spring. Please do. Sign up for whatever is kind of next in line. First semester, second semester, third semester. There are prereqs starting in the second semester, so you can't take one without taking the other. That is basically to block people from jumping all over the place and taking brand and media strategies, never having taken Adobe Illustrator, which you would just fail because you need to know the programs before you enter further. So double check that. If you have questions, comments, concerns, you can reach out to me. You can email me and like, I'll ask you some questions and be like, this is what I think you should do. You do have an advisor, but I know the program sometimes better than the advisors do. So just reach out, please reach out. All right. So that's easy. Graphic design, quick challenge, session 13. We're getting so close to being done with these, hey? Everything. Just 4 more classes. Let's see. What does bleed refer to in print design? That's this. We're going to talk about bleed today. How funny that comes up. So we all know what bleed is. It's the area that extends past the artboard. We got to make sure we're including it in every design from here until you retire. It's just normal. I don't care what I have to do. It's a little confusing at first, and then you just roll with it. You just know it. It's like anything. If you're a nursing student, you're like, why do I have to do this one thing? And it's just like, because it's procedure. And once you start doing it, you can't not do it, and you just do it. So think about it like that. Scale. So we are doing scale is in the book. Proportions and scale go together. Here we got it for you. Scale, read about it. Have some fun with scale. Do your write-up again. I'll say this, it's coming across good, but I'll just say this. Make sure you're writing about what you thought about something in the book. I don't need an overview. I just want to know, like, hey, I found this one thing. It was pretty interesting. That's what I want to know. So we'll jump around. I'll do proportion, double check proportion research, double check the proportion project, and then we'll do the computer rough draft. So I'm going to jump on in with the proportion lecture. There, we got it all set up for us. I'm going to zoom in, switch to my drawing screen, and we are off to the races. Let's do this. All right. Proportion is size and scale. Proportion, it's the relationship between two things. How do we set that up? It goes back to, I feel like maybe everybody's understanding that when you get into these principles of design, a lot are based around hierarchy and getting people to see what you need them to see first and foremost. You can use any of these tricks. There's 8 of them, 8 of these tricks. How do I get somebody to read the title? Make it big comparatively to everything else. How do, it's these sort of things that kind of work, a lot of them, not all of them. I just, because my head went to balance. It's like balance, not so much, but balance is like, I can make it plain and simple and everything is down the center, or I can make it asymmetrical where people have to read around and it makes it more interesting. But size and scale, that's what we're talking about. Big things grab attention more than small things. You want somebody to see it, make it big. You don't want them to see it, make it small. I used to do sweepstakes and contests. God, they don't call them sweepstakes anymore, do they? But contest, a company would say like, oh, we want to hold a contest, design all the posters, flyers, handouts, everything for that. And our company would do that. And there's down at the bottom, size and scale. Of course, really big, we design a certain logo and that would be big at the top. And then we'd have the legalese, which legally we had a size that it could be, and it could be 6 point. I think sometimes it could be 5. It could be on there anywhere we wanted. We could hide it wherever we wanted, but as long as it had to be like no smaller than 6 point, and we knew it. And that's how we hit it with size by making it as small as possible. Where are the rules? As small as possible on the bottom, because you know what? We don't want you to read them. Why don't we want you to read them? Because you might miss something that'll make you ineligible for the project. So that's why. So size and scale. The golden ratio. It's a beautiful item. It occurs in nature, and you can use it in design. I don't. It's a lot of work, but you'll kind of notice sometimes it will naturally happen. I don't have like a template that I use, but we'll go over here, like this is the golden ratio. And it starts with the proportion of this square then is divided by 1.66 to make this size square, to make this size square, to make this size, and you keep dividing down, and it's the golden ratio. Flower petals, the way they're arranged, approximately 1.6. This is the scale. So that's what you go down in size, and you stack them, and they keep kind of going in a swirl. It's a natural phenomenon. If you look at a flower, a good one is, I think it's sunflowers. The center of a sunflower has that swirl, and each step out is a little bit bigger. And I think mathematically it's 1.6, bigger. I could be a little bit wrong, but that's what it's all based off of, the veining in leaves, like all this kind of stuff. It's just a natural phenomenon. Like I said, I don't use it. It's not like I'm going to be telling you, like for your poster, like I need you to set up this golden ratio. But we kind of, working in thirds is always really good too. 1/3 is important. Second third is least important. Final third is not as important, and you can scale them. So why am I not drawing? So it'd be like if this was your item, say the biggest would be there. That's bad. So biggest would maybe be here, then middle. So it's like large, smaller, smallest. And then so this is most important, second, and third. So that's what we're talking about. Like another way to break it out, golden ratio, thirds, stuff like that. Hierarchy of scale. It's just scaling is used for that hierarchy. I talked about it already. Bigger is better when you want to grab the attention. But if you make everything big, nothing grabs attention. You will get into clients that will be like, it's all important. And then, no, it's not all important. So sorry for that stall. I was just looking at a different screen and it almost went away. So it's not all important. We have what is the most important thing? What do you want to give away? Which is the same, the hierarchy of scale can in the visual weight. The visual weight of something can change. It's not always the size. A thick line and a thin line, like you could have like a really ornate design, you know, something, and then, but say like this one is more important. It's bigger, but it has a smaller line, but maybe it's more intricate. And then, so that's visual weight, but you can see that this one, even though it's smaller than this one visually weighs more because of that line. You know, even though you're like, but this one's way bigger. Well, this one has a thicker line and it's visually weighted that way. So you have to see, then you'd be like, okay, then I need to make this one not smaller, this one the line weight less, and this one the line weight bigger, because if I want to get my attention to the right spot. Aspect ratio, I kind of talked about that just earlier here. Proportional relationship between the width and the height of an object. Dealing with aspect ratio is, well, this actually can get kind of confusing. It's confusing at first. Let's see, it's best like, so if I have a rectangle, this has an aspect ratio. If I copy and paste this, and this is why we call it constraining when I work on this with you guys, and I talk about like always hold down shift. In Illustrator and InDesign, you always hold down shift because you want to constrain the aspect ratio. So if I were to do this and then like arbitrarily, it'd be like, there we go. This rectangle is bigger than this rectangle. Yeah, this rectangle is bigger, but it's not, the aspect ratio is wrong. So what I would do is then you find out, wait, which one do we want? And they're like, oh, they want the width, the same width. So then I would take the corner, hold down shift, constrain it, and I think I end it here. Just a little bit bigger. Now this is the same aspect ratio as the first rectangle, but now it's bigger. We work on that. So when you're working on different size documents, it's very important to understand, like when somebody says, you know, 20 by 30, 10 by 20 isn't the same as 20 by 30, even though they're going up in tens. It's a different ratio. So it's kind of weird, kind of confusing. You'll know when you run into it, and you'll get through it, and you just ask me. Spatial relationship proportion extends to the spatial relationships between elements. You're going to work on this. You're going to do this for your assignment. This and size and scale and spatial relationships are going to be brought up, and I'll talk about that quickly in the other one. Cropping and framing in the design world. You can significantly impact the way an image looks just by cropping it. If you show everything, it looks like it's a wide open expanse. But if you zoom in and crop out everything but like the tree, then the tree looks huge. So cropping and framing is pretty big when it comes to getting the sense of the size of a proportion of a project or object or what you have be. And then we leave in the architectural proportion, because this kind of goes with the cropping and framing and dealing with structures. And like, there's a reason why everything is as it, you know, we do it as it is because we want this relationship between, like, when you look at stuff, to have it feel comfortable and not uncomfortable. And it's actually, we do it in architecture too. And this will come hopefully in the future as it's done more, is doing graphic elements for interiors, which I've done a lot of. And you then have to scale everything. How does everything is in proportion to these doors and windows? And then I put in my graphics, and it all has to work together with the architectural proportions for this graphic design work that we do. So good stuff. All right, let's look at our examples. You want to see it? Make it huge. I mean, this is a great little example. It's fun. It's to the point. You know, doesn't get any bigger. This is great that they have this. You know, it tells you right away that it's a huge sale. And then, like, oddly, the second biggest is this, and they kept the same font. So see how, like, this is big and bold, and then multifamily is nice, but it's just settled in there. It's not important. What's important is huge garage sale. The multifamily is snuck in there in the middle, and it's pretty neat. So it's like hidden in between the two main items. So it's huge garage sale. Oh, it's multifamily, so it's just not one. And then I do love the dark black arrows coming in from the top and the bottom. Again, very symmetrical design. Hey, balance. We got a side, we got arrows pointing directly at the middle, and everything's in the middle. And then these are in thirds. The blue, the yellow, and the pink, all in thirds. Works out pretty well. I love this piece. It wouldn't be the same. And this is the you know, dealing with the scale, the proportion, how we perceive things. Is she a giant? Or is she just in the foreground? Well, she's in the foreground. We wouldn't look at this, and never would we be like, oh, maybe if, like, this was changed. Attack of the Giant Woman. So we changed the title. Would that change our view of this, or is it still kind of wrong? So we have that scaling. She's slinking away. She's getting out of there. There's some awesome framing going on here too, as this area has a fight going on specifically in this little window right there, which I think is really great. And then we do have another little window here into which we put a smaller group of guys fighting. But she's in the foreground. We get the sense that she's very close to us. We're very close to her, and all the action is happening further away. And we just see her walking along. Very well done, very cool, very kitsch, very funny. Cool and the crazy. All right, here's our, don't move. I don't know why it does that. Here's our golden ratio. And as you can see, they kind of split it. There's always splitting hairs. If you want to see people going nuts about golden ratio, go to look up like how the Apple logo was created. And I don't really think it was done, but there's people who went into insane lengths to like draw all these like golden ratios in for the Apple, and it's just Apple fans, I think. But it works pretty good here. So we're a little bit out of size, but we have, you know, if you were to split this and say the first section, the biggest, largest section is what? The garment that we're trying to sell. Her face is out of that, but like the biggest part that we see is the garment. Then the next part is the information that we need to get from the garment. Color, size, price, add to bag. These are all the next in line. Then as we swoop around, right, it's this section. And they broke this one up, but they should have stopped the ratio. So it's actually, if I was to draw it, it's like, oh, color's wrong. If we come, it really just stops there. So you have these areas. So it's 1, 2, and 3. Then they just keep drawing. This is to show you the extension of it, but it's three boxes based somewhat on the golden ratio, and then that works for us for that design. Would I go through the process of this? No, I don't think I ever would. I kind of like in my mind want to. I think you could create one as a template and then copy and paste it into layers to see if it would work. But I don't know if I necessarily want to go through that. But now I'm like, wow, over Christmas break, maybe I'll do that. Sorry, winter break. Sorry, it's a winter break. It has nothing to do with Christmas. All right, scale. What do we want to see on this one? The image. And then this, so when you're looking at this and the scale and proportion, they want you to get lost in this image. And you look around and it's like some crazy mansion on a hill, right? It's on a hill. And then these people just living the lap of luxury, swimming from inside to outside. I don't know. It looks like it's inside to outside. We want to get lost here. And then over here, Colin Hughes, projects, overview, info. You're like, this is all secondary. They want you to just be like, oh my God, I want this. Where do I go? Oh, okay, I go over here. And then you start to click on the rest. But that's why it's so big and this is so small. It's they want you to get lost in this. I kind of hate that black line. So, and then we have our epic proportions due to a movie, which we always like doing. And this one is double-sided on the proportions and everything. Like you see it and you have these faraway mountains, these faraway clouds, the faraway clouds. But then Techo has this moon behind it, but the moon isn't up in the sky, so it's kind of near. So it's confusing with the clouds. And then the mountains aren't that mountainous, because look at the size of the trees. These are quite kind of proportionally small trees, which means these people are big. You know what I mean? You've seen evergreen trees, and when they're spaced out like this, it's kind of different. And then we have this weird city thing happening in the bottom. This one, it's just to me, the proportions are all out of whack in what is are they in proportion to this mountain or not? But they're so small, but then this distance, it's just all over the place. So it's a good visual. Once you start looking at these items and look at them all the time, you'll start to notice these things. And of course, I see this picture all the time with teaching this class, at least twice a year, that I'm really every time I see it, I see more wrong with it. But there's ways to mess it up. But why is there a moon there? These clouds should be more distance feeling, because they're blending in with the fog that I don't know what's happening into these closer by mountains. These aren't big, far away mountains. Then these people are small. And then you have this weird city streaks. These are the lights from cars zooming, it feels but it's not really, but it's converging on them. Just all over the place. I get that it's fantasy, and I know I showed that one picture, the poster of Tintin, but that was meant to look over the top. This one is what are you getting with this proportion on it? So proportion. So much fun. Know it, live it, love it. Any questions on this part of the proportion projects? All right. We're coming back to that. Don't worry. Let's move on. All right. We did the proportion lecture. Research. This one is an Illustrator. Make sure you're double checking your margins. Make sure your margins are correct. And then make sure that you're using the bleed. So the 1/2 inch of bleed, make sure your background is going all the way to the bleed. All right. Those are just important things to just start doing every time. Margin is your safe space. Like nothing goes beyond the margin that's important. Words, images, anything. The only way that it goes past the margin is if it's bleeding off. So you can have a picture bleed off the edge of the page, which is done all the time, but it's intentionally done, and then it goes all the way to the bleed. But the margin is either safe or past. I hope that makes sense. The more you use it, the more you'll understand it, and the more you hear me, the last 4 times you hear me harp on it. Well, actually there's 6 because I have to grade and then do stuff. So just make sure you're doing those correctly. I check them, I check them. I look at them. You're doing good. Have some fun. But yeah, those are my main 2 ones. Once we switch to using the real design programs, a lot of people were not pulling their backgrounds all the way to the bleed, and then sometimes crop marks or margins weren't always paid attention to. All right, proportion project. We learned about proportion. I want 3 composition to define reverse proportion in the design. What do you mean by this? So I'm going to try it sketch. I have it open. Let me just open it. Or I have it downloaded. All right, there's 3 compositions. What is reverse proportion? Actually, I have to draw it out first. I'm going to open up Photoshop, and I want just new file, create. Let's go to our brush. All right. So, I mean, some of them, like jokingly and not jokingly, is if you think of, I forget the name, jumbo shrimp. Like, what does that mean? Like, if you have jumbo is big and shrimp is small. If you think about the meanings, if you call somebody a shrimp, that usually means something small, but you say jumbo shrimp, a big, small. But if you're like thinking about, imagery, and what we do for reverse proportion is like, you could have like a hand and like open hand. As a thumb. That was a bad thumb. And then in the hand is like a tree. But like, then you have the distance. So like, it's the hand is holding the tree, reverse proportion. Or, think about animals. I don't want to do anymore because like I don't want to steal ideas. Think of animals, like the reverse proportion of animals, anything where it just will throw people off of like, wait a minute, that big thing should be small or that small thing should be big. But in the way that you put the pixels together in Illustrator, however you came up with that composition, it is fooling people into thinking the big thing's small and the small thing's big. So reverse proportion is what I mean. So here, if there's a hand out and there's a tree, it looks like somebody's holding a small tree. But if you were to remove your hand, whoop, it would just be a normal sized tree in the landscape. So that's what I mean by reverse proportion. Does that make sense to everybody? All right. I mean, it's a little weird. If you have questions, anytime you guys have questions, just reach out to me. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. All right. Computer rough draft. We have all the parts and pieces, right? We have a music festival logo. You have a minimum of 3 pictures from the music festival. You have a paragraph about the music festival. You have 3 of the music festival headliners, and you have the music festival dates. You have now a rough draft, which will be approved tomorrow to move on. I think they're due. Yeah. I'll make sure I get it correct. And we are going to move on, and we are going to add our stuff to the poster design that we did in lesson 8. Session 8, we created a poster and a pamphlet. The poster was in Illustrator, the pamphlet was in InDesign. We're going to start with the poster. Now I'm going to show you what this person, we know what this person did. We go through, and I think they did this one. And here is their rough draft. What did they do? They literally placed everything in its place on the piece. Roughed it in. How do we do that? Well, I want you to do it a certain way. I want you to use the rough draft as the starting point. What do I mean by that? You created this document. This is the poster layout that you did. You have your name on it. And if you put your name at the very back, I'm going to unlock that and I'm going to delete my name. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to place in my image. So I'm going to place in, what do you mean, my image? My image of what? I'm going to place in the image of the design. And then I'm going to make it the correct size-ish. So I'm going to hold down Shift, and I'm going to make it the size. Now, it may be a little bit out of proportion. That is A-okay. So then we just kind of, for this one, I'm going to squish it, all right? So I'm going to squish it in, and I'm going to look at that. And now I have a starting template in Illustrator into which I just start doing stuff. I start placing my images. So logo. All right, let's start with the logo. You start wherever you want. I'm going to go to File, Place. I have my logo. I just did screenshots. So, and I would place that in. I want the logo here. All right, we get that in. I'm going to, my headshots or headliners. I think I have pictures of them. File, Place. And this is how you get rolling. I'm doing screenshots because I don't have the original files from the student. But as you can see from the student, you find your original files and you start placing them in. Hold on. The dates. So I can skip to the date. I'll copy and paste that date just so you guys can see a little bit better. Like, I'm going to cancel that. Let's go to the dates. Date, I need the text. I'm going to just do that. I'm going to paste. I'm going to make it big. I'm going to hold down Shift, right? You always hold down Shift. And then I'm going to pick like a rad font, whatever, I have. And so and then again, every time I scale something, I'm holding down Shift. And so I got now the dates are in. And then I'm going to place in the text. Let's do the body copy, the paragraph. And all this then is, you don't have to think about where you're putting it because you know where you're going to put it. It's like color by numbers, like, oh, the summary. Okay. I'm going to go here and, okay, I don't care. Don't show again. Okay. I might be able to just do that. And I'm going to copy. And then, so for my summary, I'm going to go back to the text, but I'm going to make a text box here. And I'm going to paste in my text. I'm going to zoom in and I'm going to make sure, like when I do stuff too, I'm watching my margin. Nothing goes past that margin. I can make my font bigger. And I'm going to go, the other thing I'm going to do, all the weird returns I'm going to take out. You have to go in and do this by hand. You just go in and take them out. Delete, space. It happens all the time. You're going to get used to doing this. It's part of the job of graphic designing is typesetting, it's called. And you're just getting used to typesetting. And then I want to make sure on this, you're going to hear me say widows and hyphens. So I got these hyphens everywhere. I want those off. Those you can just find under paragraph. And there's this little hyphenate thing. Turn that off. Then they all go away. And I can make this box skinnier. And stuff like that. So there's my text. And I'm just going to go start placing, you know, I got the headliners, file, place. I have to figure, I think it's these three. You can do all three at once. You know, we've taught that. 3. So like these guys are going to go here. Again, these are screenshots from, these are not the actual files because I don't have them. But look at that. So then I just place those in, right? And then guy playing guitar. All right, let's get those. Those are the images. So I'm going to be looking. Oh, I had drawing. That's the name should be drawing here. Cancel. Put your drawing in the drawing area. So images, file, place. Oh, I have 5. Place. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, that was a mistake. So singer on stage. Put this one here. Not going past that margin, right? Never go past the margin. And then playing guitar. Well, we'll do these guys. And then stage, this goes down here. And then I can size this one to fit the size of this. And then I have my paragraph in the middle. And then we start unlocking stuff and then tweaking. So I'm going to move this up. I got this. These, you know, if I click on all these and I make sure they're center line. And I want to actually move them up because I want to move the date up to the very top, but not past the margin. And I want the date to be from margin to margin and touching the top margin. And then I'm going to move these up. Then we got the Rockfest. I don't have the hand. So I'll get that, but then I can put in the text. So I'll go to headliners. I do a lot of locking and unlocking as it makes my job easier. Because then I do stuff like, and I put in Jelly Roll. And I want it big. And then just for the, you know, because I don't, you know, I forget who's who. But like, there's the headliners. And I would change the name of the headliners. And then, you know, what other stuff do I have? I have the background, which is, this isn't good. So if I put in the background, I'm going to start at the bleed. Go all the way to the bleed. And just know, like, nothing's going to go past the margin. We're all good. And then, all right, I can't see anything now because I want a cool black background, man. So I'm going to change the dates, the headliners, and the text. So all you have to do is start selecting the parts. This I want white. Phil should just be able to click on white. I got these names. Phil, white. Got this. Oh, that's the paragraph. Phil, white. Now, like, all that's missing is I got to put in the rock hand, right? And I can add, you know, extra things, and then I'll add the lightning, you know, I'll figure out ways to do that. But in just a matter of minutes, I have like 90% of my poster done, because all I had to do was just put it on top. Put it on top of where I had it already drawn. People think it's crazy that, like, why are you doing it that way? Why don't you just like look at it next to you and put it where you want on the screen? Let me tell you, I've seen it done, and it doesn't work as good. There's something in the drawing that once you start reproportioning and you don't have the drawing back there, it never looks quite as good as the drawing. And it literally, you just have to put that one in the background and just start placing and then moving. Because the other one is we get too involved and then we start like, well, maybe I want this one over here, but we haven't even thought about, you know, you start thinking before you're even done. So here you just get everything in, get it settled. Now I'm at the point of where I can really start tweaking and moving and adjusting and getting things perfect. And like, so this, you know, one thing I would do, I'm going to move this dude up. Why? Because I want a triangle here. So now, instead of doing that earlier, I'm going to do it now, because I'm like double checking that everything's set in. And I see something like, oh, okay, so this works out really well, this triangle. This is actually pretty good. Then when I have my hand rocking, you know, nothing needs to go there. It's open space. You can feel free to have open space as well. Gaps in between items is good. We do not want everything touching everything. It's the space. There's space in between everything here. Nothing's like as big as possible on top of everything else. We don't want that. I don't want this. No, wait. Got to use free transform. So we don't want this where the text is like touching the image. And then, you know, and then you're like, well, but I wanted these guys so big. Like, see how there's a gap? We're not doing like, you know, oh, I want it right under, you know, we talked about that stuff where like it's touching. No, don't have things touch unless it's intentionally touching. Like if you're going to have it touch, you want it like on it, you know, like it's on top of the image. If you want to put it on top of the image, but then look at how hard it is to read. So give things some space between each element. You know, like we want them to read the date, and then there's a little bit of a gap. And we can even bring this down. Like then I'll bring that down. So then it's date, then there's a gap. Then we see the headliners. Then there's a gap. Then there's the logo, which now like, oh, we can make the logo. What if we change it and make the logo this size? Then there's a gap. And then we can adjust this stuff to get everything else to fit. So you start with that hierarchy and working down, but making sure people can rest. It's called white space. It's very important. And as we talk through all the symbology and all the parts and pieces, is one of the things is creating the hierarchy. Not everything is as important as everything else. So we don't want everything to be the same size. What's most important? Well, these dates are pretty important. And Rockfest is pretty important. But you know what? These images aren't as important. So these are small and at the bottom, you know? Or what if now that I look at it, I want to change this? Now that I'm seeing it, I want to change this. why don't I just do, this is smaller, and then I make this in proportion to this, and then I can move this guy up. So now it's in proportion to that, and then I can have that box there. And now I'm working in a set of 4. So I have 4, and then there's something missing. Well, what if I found that picture of Ice Cube I had and put it in there? Or I put it over here. So to balance it. So now I have so then I have a setup of a balance in some sort of way. But I didn't start doing this until after I had everything in, and then you can start playing around. But I highly, highly suggest you put in your drawing and start placing your design elements on top of the drawing, get them in place, and then start playing around. You'll save yourself loads of time. It seems like it's a lot of work. It's not. It's the opposite, trying to save you time. So, and then this is the computer rough. Get things in, start moving things around, start looking at it, and then I'll look at it next week, tell you some tweaks to make, and you'll make the tweaks for the final, and then you'll do a final, and I'll show you how to do mock-ups next week, in which you'll put your poster into a realistic setting. So, any questions about this? All right, awesome. Well, thank you very much. We're back on track. Thursday we'll do the same. It's the exact same thing, but with the pamphlet, you put things in on top of where you drew them, and we'll extend it. So, all right, that's it for me. If you have questions, comments, or concerns, you know how to reach me. Please do. I'm always around. I want to help where I can. With that being said, take care and enjoy the design process. All right, bye-bye.